Good evening, everybody. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend. Well, there's no doubt that everybody has had a fantastic weekend, as we are now reviewing tonight that very, very nice performance yesterday, which ended Sunderland 0, Newcastle United 3. Well, a cakewalk, kind of. Certainly a very professional display. And a lot of you were right. No need to be worried at all. We turned them over quite easily. And it's nice seeing the Sunderland fans come out now and say, after all we're going to beat us, we're going to stuff them, all that kind of stuff. And then after we've stuffed them, it's now, well, you've got more millions than us. You're Saudi Arabia, you're all of this, and it's mental. But a very, very professional display, I have to say. If you do enjoy tonight's show, guys, as usual, please do hit that like button for us. Very important that we keep the likes coming in so the fellow fans like yourselves can find us on YouTube. And of course, please do subscribe if you are new. If you're watching this on the live show, please do click bottom right hand corner, click on the logo, click subscribe, and come and be part of this incredible community. And do the same if you're watching on the rerun. You can become a member of the Toon Review by hitting the join button just underneath the three of us. And of course, you can donate to the channel by hitting the $sign at the bottom of the live comments. And that will guarantee to get your comment read straight out. How are we feeling, gentlemen, after yesterday?
Fandabidozi.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, it does sort of get the confidence going a little bit. Of course, we know, we've got two very, very important Premier League games coming up, two very difficult Premier League games coming up. But we are in a position now where we can take a lot from that game yesterday, Alex.
Yeah, well, it was just about getting a victory and actually winning a game of football massively helps. But then also it helps being able to win in terms of possession, winning the physical battle, scoring a few goals, a couple from open play and a penalty, being the dominant team. Passes were going a little bit better. Some passing sequences were better. It's all across the park, really. Plus, it was against local rivals, so it was emotional for people as well. It was even emotional for some of the foreign lads, or for people who aren't from the northeast in the squad. They definitely bought into it, and it was great. It was what they needed to do. So hopefully they can take that confidence into the rest of January.
Absolutely. Just to let you know as well, the poll is up for your man of the match. You've got 4 options for man of the match yesterday. You've got Isak, Bruno, Almiron, and Gordon. So they are your 4 options for man of the match tonight, and we will obviously see the results of that after we've done the player ratings a bit later on in the show. So that is pinned now at the top. Go and vote for your man of the match, and we'll see how that turns out. Billy, we started the game extremely well. I mean, we saw the team lineup. We're a little bit, about Dan Burn playing and Livramento again on the bench. But again, I think, he proved us wrong. The team played very well from the off.
Yeah, he went with tried and trusted, didn't he? He went with the people who have been there and done the hard yards for him over the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it works. It was a cakewalk, and the week ended how it started, really, with Sunderland Association Football Club rolling out the red and white carpet for Newcastle to trample all over. With what happened with the off the pitch stuff, and then on the pitch of stuff, they welcomed us with open arms, allowed us to play our game, and it was a cakewalk.
Mm. I mean, look, we started the game with real intent, Alex, didn't we? It wasn't. I'm sure me and a lot of other fans expected Sunderland to come out with a bit more fire in the bellies and really come at us. It was quite the opposite the way the game started. We started on the stronger foot. We went at them, and we wanted to show them who was the dominant team from the kickoff. Yeah,
well, it wasn't so much we were hyper intense and erratic in a good way. It was far more controlled than that. We didn't let them be that way. We didn't let them wrestle control of the game early doors. We made sure we retained possession, and we played. We didn't rush it. We didn't do it with 2 or 3 passes with direct build up. We worked the space. They hadn't done their homework tactically, defending sort of Trippier's overlaps and stuff, which me and Billy have already discussed this. It's quite easy. I mean, it's not as if our games haven't been on telly this year. I mean, it was pretty obvious the way we were going to try and break them down. And yeah, we just did what our game plan was. And for some reason, whether it was the depth of quality or a bit of tactics or a bit of all of it, we just retained the ball and were really tidy in possession.
Yeah, and we had a few early chances, didn't we, Billy? I mean, certainly Sean getting into the box, got a good header on goal. I'm not sure what the goalkeeper was doing with that save, letting it bounce off his chest, and then of course he has another run to the near post. He didn't really have his shooting boots on yesterday, Sean, but we'll come on to him a bit later. But it was the intent that was there, and we just stifled Sunderland. We said before the game, Sunderland did have a lot of sort of younger players on the pitch, and would they rise to the occasion, against a more experienced and let's say better Newcastle United side, and they couldn't rise to it, could they? I mean, the thing that got me, Billy, and we were talking about it obviously before kickoff, was the TV making such a big thing of Kobe Bellingham and what he was going to do and how good he was, and he was awful.
Yeah, I mean, they had no intensity. They just, I mean, from minute one, they allowed our back four to play out as they wanted to. The first chance actually came from a raking share past the left-hand side where no one went to him and tried to stop him from playing the pass. They were so passive and submissive towards us. It was ridiculous. The local derby, you'd at least expect Sunderland to try and match us for determination and effort, and they didn't, and desire. And then obviously the quality at the time was going to be different, but you have to try and level it somewhere. And they didn't put the hard yards in to try and stop us from playing. So it was easy for us to create chances, and we did it kind of we played really within ourselves. We had another 2 or 3 gears to go into, I felt.
Yeah, I did as well. I don't think we hit top gear yesterday.
They were just so passive and let us play as we wanted, which, as if you were a Macum, you'd be really disappointed with. They seem to be quite, they don't seem to pick that up, but they didn't try, as far as I could see. They weren't even attempting to win the game.
Yeah, it was poor from them. But again, Alex, it was getting to the stage in the first half where we thought, how many chances are we going to have here before we actually score one? But of course we did then get that goal through a Ballard own goal, and I don't care what anybody says, it would have been a simple tap in for Isak had he not got there. But we kind of, again, just missing opportunities, weren't we? And it started to get in the back of your mind, are we going to put this away? Are we going to score goals? And I know the Sunderland fans have made a lot about saying, you only beat us by an own goal, a penalty and a mistake. I mean, what do you make of all that?
Well, we made the opportunity for ourselves. I think the criticism of ourselves early doors is fair. I think we need to be a bit more creative with the way we break teams down. We were very sort of free-flowing with our scoring. A few weeks ago, we were right near the top with the amount of goals we'd scored in the Premier League. That's dropped off a little bit now with that bad December form. And it's kind of true in a way. It required us to do something different with Joe Linton marauding down the left wing and kind of swapping positions, Gordon stepping inside. It required something different to start the scoring, basically. And we need to make sure we're doing that in Premier League games. We need to be creative. We need players to take a bit of ownership. And to be fair, Joe Linton does do that quite a lot. There's been a lot of games in sort of the last 12 months where he went on that little goal scoring run where he was just driving the team on his own sometimes in an offensive sense. So we do need that. But in terms of what Sunderland fans are saying, well, I mean,
it's
no.
It's just bitter, isn't it?
I mean,
it's bitter all along.
It's a penalty because it was a clear penalty. We probably should have had. There's an argument to be made we should have had 2, and there's an argument to be made they shouldn't have had 11 men on the pitch. There's quite, and we missed a few easy chances as well. So I feel like we, as Billy said, we probably had another gear or 2 to go through. I mean, if you think about everything that didn't super click yesterday, like Isak probably could have got involved in the game more. I think Gordon probably could have been 10. Gordon's got 10-20% more in his game. We know he has. He's sort of returning to full sharpness. Everybody's got a bit more. Longstaff being a bit more clinical. When all of those things start to click, that's when we beat teams 8-0. Like, we've seen it. It happens.
Yeah,
it wasn't fully clicking, but it was much, much better.
Yeah. Daniel Zimmerman, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, much needed win. Now looking forward to the women's game against Manchester United next week. Indeed. And I don't think the women can be in any better form going into that game. Another 7-0 win today. They are absolutely flying. So well done to Becky and the girls again. And confidence high. And listen, we've got nothing to lose going into that game against the Super League side. So we'll see how they get on. Billy, there was a couple of incidents in the first half, of course, which were very much talking points. Of course, the the Clark challenge on Botman, which I've looked at it a couple of times and I cannot make my mind up. But that's not me sort of being confused about it. It's saying, what is the sending off these days? We saw the Calvert-Lewin one on the other night. It was ridiculous. We saw that one, which was 10 times worse. And then the penalty incident in the first half, which I think you could have called a free kick for the outside the box and then thrown him to the floor inside the box. I mean, it could have gone either way.
Well, in the heat of the moment, we all thought that the Clark one was a red card at first viewing. I've seen it since. I think it's a yellow. However, he didn't even get that, which was ridiculous. I think the fact it was early in the game and it was a local derby kind of stopped Pawson pulling his cards out so early. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. It's a yellow card all day long. And that's the penalty. To me, it is a penalty. It's a red card and it's a penalty. Clive Allen and Guy Mowbray on BBC One both said it was a penalty. Both neutrals. Whereas on ITV, you had Chris Waddle, Roy Keane, and who's the one? Quick.
McCoist.
Ali McCoist, all Macums, all said it wasn't a penalty. Ridiculous, really. To me, it was a red card. It was a penalty. It was last man. Dragged him down, pulled him down, made sure he couldn't get through to the ball, one-on-one with the keeper. All day, every day, to me, it's a penalty and a red card.
Yeah, they all excluded the shirt pull when they were talking about it. They went, "Oh, he's gone 50-50. It's a side-by-side, rough and tough kind of challenge. We want to see those." Yeah, no, you're all right there. But then they completely excluded the shirt pull that he dragged him down. They completely missed that out of their analysis, which was untruthful and poor, considering you're paid to be pundits. You need to be relaying the full facts to people watching it from home. It's not good enough as professionals. I know there's a lot of talk from all this Joey Barton stuff. And it's irrelevant. I think everyone punditing at the moment is poor. Everyone. There's a few, breaths of fresh air, but it's just we need to up the levels of it, because when you've got fan channels who are seeing things that professionals aren't seeing, it's really not good enough. Because we're not coaches, we're not ex-players, we're not professionals. We're fans just like you who are on a YouTube channel. We can see the shirt pull. Why can they not see the shirt pull? It's really not good enough.
It's terrible. We've got another super chat in from Ian Morgan. Thank you, Ian. Great game yesterday, but a little bit worried about our finishing. More chance against Premier League opposition. Striker in January, ? Billy, we did mention it during commentary, and I do think we need another striker. I definitely do. I'm still not convinced Isak is an out-and-out striker.
Yeah, we were discussing this on the Patreon podcast. Is he a left winger? No, because he won't defend. He doesn't help the defenders out. Yeah. Is he a centre forward? No. It's probably somewhere in between the two. But then you've got to play with someone else with him. So, he doesn't fit the system. So we need to buy someone that does fit the system and maybe can play up front with him, or just be just in front of him, maybe.
Formation change.
Yeah, which means a formation change, which isn't going to happen at this stage of the season, I wouldn't have thought. So
no.
He didn't get involved in the general game yesterday, really, but I mean, he was lethal when he did. So he was there to score goals, and he scored 2.
I mean, look, it's difficult when you're involved in a huge derby game, right? I thought at times Pawson let the game go nicely for why are you laughing?
No reason.
Well, I think I know, but anyway, I think if you look at Pawson yesterday, some of the times he let the game go, some crunching challenges, and then others he was pulling up for a load of crap, Alex, and bookings for really weak challenges when you saw what he was letting go.
Yeah, he was very, very poor yesterday, and I make a point every time we have this situation where we need to be honest about the refereeing performances. Even when we win, we can't just be like Arsenal fans and only complain when we lose. We have to make sure that we won that game 3-0. It was comfortable. However, the refereeing performance was not acceptable. There were so many things that he did wrong for Sunderland and wrong for us. He made calls bad both ways. I'd probably say a little bit more against us, but again, that's of course we're going to say that. But it was just poor. It was sometimes a bit too quick. I think he was a bit too quick to book Bruno for his first foul of the game. That was bizarre. But then he let really, really harsh challenges go with no yellow card. I appreciate there was no VAR, but I felt like he was miles away from the action. At times, he was in the way, sometimes of link-up play, passing lanes. The assistants they just weren't good enough. And considering they're the Premier League standard officials that are used in the Premier League. Oh, it's just really concerning. It's so concerning.
I mean, look, we're not going to get any better referee in this season. You know, they're all terrible for me. But look, we've got to talk about Sean Longstaff, because I've seen a lot of negative reaction towards Sean today, and saying that he's just not good enough. End of story. We need to get rid. He's in a bad run of form at the minute. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But then people were clamoring for Miley to play instead of him. Miley came on in that game and looked like a lost sheep. You know, he wasn't great at all, Miley, when he came on. But yes, I know Miley's only 17. But if people are wanting him in instead of Longstaff, you know,
I mean, we discussed this yesterday. Me and Billy did. We've got the answers.
Go on then. What are the answers?
Well, I think we concluded, I don't know if you agreed with me, Billy, I think you did, that I think at the moment it's one or the other on the pitch at any one time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they can play together. I remember that conversation before we left the Matchday Live show yesterday.
Yeah. And then the other part was about Longstaff. He really needs to play himself into form. He needs time. There was a period sort of when we beat PSG, there was that chunk of time where he played himself into some great form. He was sharper, a little bit quicker, taking up more offensive positions. His passes were better. He was being a bit more clinical. He was getting assists, and he'd actually played himself into some really, really good form. He was confident. His technical ability had risen. He can do it. The problem is it's not his default. Unfortunately, it's not. He can play himself into the level that we need. The problem is he just can't. It doesn't look like. I mean, maybe we're wrong. You know, if Sean might be able to do that, but from everything we've seen so far, he needs time to play himself up to that level. And sometimes we don't have the time for that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Are they two similar players?
Who? Miley and Longstaff.
Miley and Longstaff, because the reason I'm asking that is Miley, when Sean's not playing, Miley makes the same runs as Sean. Now, we spoke about that, you know, his runs into the box and things like that. When they're both on the field at the same time, then one of them has to be disciplined enough to stay back. And obviously, when Joe Linton came off yesterday, we were at 6s and 7s for 10, 15 minutes, where Sunderland had a decent spell because we were still trying to work out who was. Yeah,
there were reasons for that, wasn't there? Because Bruno had just been more offensive for the previous 10 or 15 minutes. So then he had to readjust. And exactly what you've just said with Longstaff and Miley. Longstaff couldn't then make those marauding runs into the box. And then Miley was a little bit off the pace as well with recovery runs. So all of those three things put together made us look really disjointed with loads of space in midfield. Yeah.
I mean, I think it just goes to show. And Rani Granny makes a good comment there. It's about the balance of the midfield. No physicality without J7. And Rani's right. You know, when Joe Linton went off yesterday, Billy, we suddenly got a little bit dominated for that 10, 15 minutes in midfield because we lost his physicality. So everybody's saying, play Joe Linton, on the left and Gordon on the right. It kind of puts that to bed, because I think we saw yesterday just how important Joe Linton is in the middle of the park.
Well, the previously unseen Alex Pritchard came into the game once Joe Linton went off. Lewis Miley cannot play on the left-hand side of the midfield. People saying it's similar. Lewis Miley's got all the technical stuff and Sean Longstaff's got all the engine stuff. And it was only 3 or 4 minutes ago we were all calling for Sean Longstaff to be in England squad. So there's no doubt in my mind that Sean Longstaff should be in that side. He's a very, very good player. He just needs to get form back. He is rusty. His performance against Sunderland was way better than the one against Liverpool. So he is improving week on week. We need to get him in the side because, as we've said 1,000 times before, when Sean Longstaff's on top 4, our midfield doesn't get overrun. The miss of Joe Linton is going to be a big miss, and I'm actually quite upset that they brought him out for the second half. If he is injured, why do that?
Yeah, that was a very, very
why
strange
bring him on?
decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually felt once we scored, they took him off precautionary. But it seems not. But
they've done it before, haven't they? We've seen it many times this season where they don't seem to have learned the lesson. He clearly wasn't fit when he went off the field at half time. He was chatting to the physio, then he was sort of limping off, and he jogged the last 5 yards off the pitch. And we thought, maybe he's okay. And certainly when we saw him come out for the second half, I thought, yeah, great. But he wasn't. He's clearly injured. So you feel like, well, it's a silly thing to do because you're risking again a longer term injury. Now, I haven't personally seen any update on Joe Linton today, so don't know whether he's going to be available for the next couple of games.
Can I just mention Sean before we disappear on him?
Yeah.
A few people in the chat have got it right about obviously Tonali and Willock. I think everybody can agree Longstaff wasn't meant to be playing as much as he has. I think we were meant to start rotating a bit like Man City do, that we were going to use certain personnel for certain games, and Sean suits certain games, not just doing that all the time. We were meant to have used Tonali. There was a whole point in buying him. And then Willock is really, really useful against certain games with his athleticism, his speed. He's quick at recovery runs. Tonali's very, very fast as well. That week we beat PSG in the Champions League, he recorded the fastest top speed in the Champions League. So he's quick. It was not meant to be like this. It's not Sean's fault. Sean was meant to be. We're not saying Sean should be a starter every week for the entire season. He's just a part. He's a piece of the puzzle that does work in certain situations. And at the moment, we're just using it all the time. And it's not his fault. He can't do everything. He's a good player. He's good at certain things. He has periods when he's really confident where he looks like he can do a lot more, but we can't guarantee on him being able to do that all the time. It's not his fault. We've had so many injuries. Anderson, Tonali, and Willock, and Joe Linton having spells out. It was meant to be. We were meant to have a more balanced midfield that was rotated, and it's just not happened.
I've just seen a comment a while back saying we need a bastard of a number 6, and it's a nasty number 6. But you know what, Billy? I mean, we spoke about him before, but a David Batty type player. That's I loved David Batty simply because he just did the simple things. Did he? He wasn't technically brilliant. He wasn't, dribbly kind of midfielder. He just put a hard tackle in, knew that he was there, won the ball, and then just laid it off to our more attacking players. And that's for me what a good DM is all about.
Yeah, I mean, history's given us loads of them, and Nobby Stiles was one when we won the World Cup. That's what he did, was win the ball, give it to Bobby Charlton. Batty was the same. He'd win the ball, give it to Robert Lee or Peter Beardsley. And that's what we need now, is someone to win the ball, stay rigid in that 6th position, and then pass it off to Bruno or Joe Linton. And are there many around? They're a lot of money, but if you want to buy one, I've got to say, you got to pay the pounds for them. There are people around. There's definitely people around that can do that job.
Ken says, it's like I said after your quick review yesterday, Longstaff has had his purple patch. What you're seeing now is the real one.
I think it should be around, personally.
I
think that's harsh. I think it was very clear he played himself into some form. I
mean, look, he's been very important for us. He scored some very important goals as well. I think we just... and Acid makes a good point here. We've seen what went wrong when Longstaff was missing. He's totally underrated.
100%.
Yeah, and he covered for a lot of players, when he was on form, he was covering for a lot of players who weren't on form. And I think, now it's the other way around. He's going through a rough patch. I'm not saying Longstaff is, a starter every game. And I think, Alex, you made a very good point there. Without Tonali and Willock, Longstaff is playing more than I think Eddie would have intended him to. I think they're all having to play a lot more than what they were intended to because of the injuries.
It's to do with the build. It's to do with the project.
Yeah.
Like, people are saying he's not going to win us a league title. Well, no, probably not. But for where we are currently, he's useful. He's a part of the puzzle. We can't just rip up the rule book and we can't just go, right, who's the best right-sided 8 on the planet? And then just go and pay 100 million and just get him straight away, like City do. City basically, now they've built their project over years, they will carefully go and pick 1, maybe 2 signings in the summer, spend ludicrous amounts of money, slot them into the squad. And then anybody who's not into the project, they ship out the door. Next summer, 1, 2 world-class players, they spend loads and loads on just a few players and pop them into their positions. We're not in the position to do that right now, because to make us compete on that level, we'd have to buy 12 of them out of a massive squad. There's no way that's going to happen. We're going to have to go through this phase of using Jacob Murphy, Sean Longstaff, Jamal Lascelles. We're going to need these players for another year, 2, 3, however long people are going to be staying here for. It depends on how long the rebuild takes. It depends on our brand deals and finances. That whether people hate it or not, they have to be part of this project. We can't just throw people out the door. That's not how that works.
Chippers has just mentioned about the Villa game being postponed. I'm not sure that that's the case yet, Chippers. I've heard nothing official about that. I don't know.
Did you see that lower league club that postponed their FA Cup game? They put the groundsmen have been hard at work this afternoon, but unfortunately, we think we're possibly going to have to postpone the game. And the pitch was just like a lake.
Yeah, I
was
did
brilliant.
see it. Yeah. It was like you could have gone fishing in the bloody thing. I still think the Villa game's going ahead. I don't know why it's. I don't know what you've got in your head there, Chippers. Anyway, let's keep the positives coming in because one guy. Hang on, the Villa game on the 30th will be changed. So that's going to be the FA Cup fourth round games. Yeah, well, we're in the FA Cup fourth round games, Chippers. So we'll not get 17 days rest. You've just said we'll get 17 days rest because the Villa game will be postponed, but we won't. But is there a?
Yeah, but we could do with a bit. Break. Hopefully, the Villa game will be pushed to a later date. We could do with a bit more time to prepare for those difficult fixtures. Villa away is going to be tough, and any more time would be beneficial, really.
Although Villa are, to me, they're in a bit of a rough patch of form, and it's ever since I brought 3 of them into my fantasy team.
No, I think Chippers has had a Castoria because I think Lawrence has just did the fourth round ties of the weekend before the Villa game.
Oh dear.
So yeah, it is. A lot of people saying that. Chippers, make sure you know what you're saying before you put comments in, bud. You're getting everybody confused. But like I say, let's continue on the positives. And one man that's took a lot of hammering on this channel is Miggy Almiron, as we know. But I thought he was superb yesterday. I have to say, he looked really fit, really ready to go yesterday. Chased everything down. Obviously, brilliant in winning the ball back for the second goal at the start of the second half. And it was nice to see Miggy doing good things, Billy, and almost scored a really good goal as well at the end of the first half.
Yeah, well, as we said on Friday, if he can't do it against lower league opposition, then he's struggling really. But he was fantastic, and that kind of 6 days rest he's had since the Liverpool game, definitely helped him. He looks a much fresher player. He looks a more confident player, and with the performance he put in yesterday, hopefully he can go on another run of things where he is confident and can do what he's been doing last season. Because yesterday was outstanding. His press was, he didn't give him a second's rest, did he? The Sunderland back four or midfielders, whoever was were nearest the ball in the penalty area for them. Outstanding, and even tried to use his right foot yesterday, which was great. Nice assist also. Almost scored a great goal. In fact, 2 when you count the one that O'Neill put his physical in front of. So, yeah, he had a fantastic game.
Ian Fleming, thank you for a super chat. He says, I know the ref made some bad calls, but I'm glad there was no VARs. It made it a proper derby with the tackles flying in. Great viewing. I kind of agree with that. Alex, a lot of people are going to be saying, though, even though we're praising Miggy, and I've seen it in the chat already, that's his level. I disagree with that. I think he is better than championship level. But, a lot of people are going to say that, low quality teams, Miggy will stand out more.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily low quality teams. It's them and teams who play in a certain way. Miggy's been good against better opposition as well. It very much depends. Same sort of conversation we've just had with the midfield. The intent was to use Murphy against certain opposition and Miggy against others. That was the whole point. Rotate. It's not happened. It was happening start of the season. Murphy was a very useful player. He was getting minutes. It wasn't all Miggy, but unfortunately Miggy's had to play all of it. And he's just been found out. He's been a little bit too one-dimensional. And the problem is I'd say a lot of Miggy's game is down to his energy and his work rate. And once that starts to go a little bit, also the passes start to drop a little bit in quality. The shots drop a little bit in quality, as we've seen. We've not really seen the goal return from him recently. However, once he gets his stamina back, he's a useful player. He's more than fine for staying around. Unless we get a cheeky bid for him that's really, really tidy, then it might make sense to cash in on him. It depends what that would be. But there's no reason he can't stay around for another year or two at least, as long as we obviously bring in play. We can't have him being the starting guy. He can't be the superstar. He's really, really good against certain opposition. He's really useful. Again, a lot of people have already mentioned it in the chat about his tackle metrics. He like 9 or 10 ball recoveries, which is outrageous. And he got the assist for Isak. He works hard. He is really good against certain opposition, and he'll be useful. But speaking about that game specifically, a couple of extra bits that he just doesn't do in the Premier League. 2 right-footed crosses, and nobody was there for either.
Well, the one in the second half was an absolute beauty he put in, and there was decent, nobody in the box.
Well, yeah, because I don't think anybody expected him to do it. They were all waiting for the cutback.
Cut back, and then cross comes in. Yeah.
And I don't think he did those because it was easier opposition. He's had the opportunities to do that in the Premier League. So do more of that. That was really good. And the shot he had that was just a whisker past the post, that was 0.09 XG. That was an outrageous attempt, and he was damn close with it as well. So hopefully it gives him the confidence, because it was a good performance.
Yeah. And Anthony Gordon as well, Billy. Again, effort-wise was, he put himself around yesterday. He got nailed a few times. His shirt literally ripped off his back. But he kept going, didn't he? And, he was a big influence in that game. You could tell that Sunderland were worried about him a lot, because as soon as he got the ball, they were sort of doubling, tripling up on him.
They were. In the first 5 or 10 minutes, they did. However, after that, they didn't. And he had Cardinal Basil Hume on toast, didn't he? Let's be honest. He went past him with ease on many occasions. They resorted to kicking him. But in the end, Hume should have been sent off because of it, really. He'd already been booked for fouling in the first half. And that scuffle they had between them, only Gordon got booked, and he was the one that was getting fouled. So it was ridiculous. He didn't get a red card for that, Hume. But yeah, Gordon was great yesterday and got us a penalty, of course. So fantastic performance. And
Alex, it's nice to see players fit, isn't it? Having this bit of, you can tell they've had a rest, they're ready to go. The energy levels are up, and that's what we hopefully will see continuing into the final, sort of the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think this is just confirmed for anybody, giving the team, the players, any jip about this whole fatigue thing. You can see it's true. You can absolutely see it's true. As soon as the workloads dropped off, everyone gave 10, 20% more yesterday physically, because they had more rest. Yeah. It doesn't, again, the salary doesn't mean you can just be a robot. That's not how it works. Everybody was a little bit sharper. Gordon gave us more energy throughout the whole game. He was making, runs late on. He got the penalty. Passes were a little bit cleaner, crisper. It's all down to just being a bit sharper and being well rested. It's integral. So many times this season where Eddie Howe has gone to press conferences and say that people haven't trained because they just, when are they supposed to train when you've got like 2 or 3 days turnaround time between games? You just can't. So this last couple of weeks has been good. The Liverpool game came at a really bad time for us. We could have done that. Could have done with that maybe being a slightly easier tie, but it's fine. The lads look like they're getting the rest they need now.
I mean, it helps when you're not chasing the ball around for 90 minutes as well, which
exactly.
The vast majority of possession helps us an awful lot.
Yeah, we ended up with 64%. Although large parts of the game we were over 70. I think it ticked down at the end when Sunderland tried to put a little bit back in sort of a 10-minute spell.
Now there was 2 pieces of shithousery yesterday, Billy, which stand out a mile about how much our players were enjoying that game yesterday. Of course, Anthony Gordon turned along to Cardinal Hume and said, "If you want my shirt, I'll give you it after the game." You could clearly see that in anybody, not even a good lip reader, could understand what he said there. And of course, the Kieran Trippier one where he went to take the corner. And he was getting pelters from the Sunderland fans, and he put the corner down about, well, let's just say a couple of foot away from the D, didn't he? And just laughed at them.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing there, and he was getting horrendous stick from the Mackham supporters. That's quite easily heard. I watched the game again on RTV Player, and they were giving him horrendous stick, and Trippier took it and had a fantastic game, and also wound him up. So. Fantastic day for the skipper yesterday. I thought it was brilliant.
Now, Alex, one man that stood out for us yesterday was, of course, Bruno. Again, absolutely magnificent performance from Bruno. And, that to me was not a man who wants to leave Newcastle United, as so much of the media has been saying lately. Charging down the goal kick and that was, again, shithousery at his finest, charging up the Newcastle fans there. But his all-round play was just simply magnificent yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the best players we've ever had. It doesn't matter whether it's a Champions League tie, a Premier League fixture, lower league opposition. The levels are just outrageous. It just consistently, he took a little while to get going at the start of the season. He was putting in 6s and 7s. But apart from that, the whole time he's been here, it's been 8 and more generally. He's just outrageous. Yesterday we saw a lot more of what he can do offensively, and it really, really did make me kind of think I really hope we sign a more defensive-minded midfielder in this window, whether it's on loan or permanently, because when Bruno starts to join the attack, he is filthy. It's just outrageous when he starts getting into it, and he gets minutes up top. The vision, the passes. He's one of these players where analysts sit on TV and they go, he sees the picture before anybody else does. It's like he's looking at it from above. All the cliches. He's one of those guys. He just is. He's just on another level. I mean, the statistics from him yesterday were outrageous. 106 touches of the ball. He just wanted the ball all the time. 12 accurate long balls is disgusting as well. The defensive contributions were outrageous. And he just gets us as a fan base. It's all there. It's as long as he can just curb the temper and not get sent off. It's all there. And it really does look like, I mentioned this to Billy yesterday. I think he wants to go to the top with us. I think he may leave if that's not going to be a possibility. And you've got to give the guy. We've got to be understanding in that regard. Footballers' careers are very short. He's at the peak of his powers right now. If it doesn't look like we're going to be able to reach the top in his time frame, I understand it if he goes, but I think you can see his passion. He wants to win everything with us. You can see that. He'd love to stay here and just because he just wants to win everything. I'm sure he'd just love to stay and do it here.
Guys, don't forget you can vote for your man of the match at the top. You've got 4 options. You've got Bruno, Isak, Almiron, and Anthony Gordon to vote for, and we will let you know once we've done the player ratings who your man of the match is from our viewers. Billy, I mean, you obviously love Bruno. You know, many times you've said he's one of the best midfielders you've seen at the club since watching Newcastle, and you know, he certainly. The media are going to be full force on, this release clause and stuff, and I've seen stuff today saying, "Oh, PSG have activated it, and he's going for a medical." All of this bollocks. No, he's not. And I'm convinced that the actual release clause isn't active till the summer anyway. So he was just sensational.
Yeah, I mean, what he did in front of the fans, where he made that block and it's just a goal kick, but his reaction to that and the way he kind of cheered on with the fans after that isn't the action of a man that's on his way to PSG. I don't think he'll go there anywhere because he's played for Lyon. He seems to be the kind of bloke that, just kind of sticks to one team per country. I don't think he'll play for the Premier League side either. I think if he goes anywhere, it'll be Spain or Germany. I don't think it'll be Italy. I don't think they've got the money to pay for him, but it'll be Spain or Germany for me. But again, I think he'll stay with us if he thinks we're progressing in the way we need to be. Yeah, I think he'll stay with us. I really do.
I can only see Real Madrid or Barcelona. I can't even see Germany. I think those are the only 2 clubs he goes to. I'd be shocked if he goes anywhere else.
I think Real Madrid's the only one, I think, Barcelona have stood out many times, obviously, but I just don't think Barcelona have that pulling power that Real Madrid do anymore.
South
Barcelona,
Americans, though,
I know, but I just think they're falling away a little bit, Barcelona. I mean,
Barcelona have the money to pay for it, but they may have players to kind of compensate for that.
Yeah. We have a Sunderland fan in the chat. The Magpies says, Sunderland fan here, and I have to say, well done and good luck. So there you go. Thank you very much for that. And, there is, again, I mean, we had a great Sunderland fan on the preview, just spoke sense. You don't have to abuse each other all the time. Let us know, by the way, what you thought of Sunderland's performance yesterday, Mac and Cabby, because were you disappointed the lack of intensity that they showed? Because, we were shocked.
I was expecting more from Joe Bellingham. Yeah. I was. Obviously, I didn't want them to put up a great performance, but I was expecting a bit more from a few players. Definitely Bellingham. I was expecting a lot more from him.
Yeah. Be interested to see if we get a comment from him about that, because I think they're very. I mean, I tried to wind my mother up about it last night after the game, but she just walked away, and I haven't seen her today because she's in bed poorly. So
if they do end up going up, they're going to really struggle. Like it'd be good for them financially long term, but I would fully expect them to come straight back down unless they heavily recruit and change stuff or add to it. If they come up through the playoffs this year, there's not enough there to stay up. I can't see who they're beating in the Premier League.
And I think, Billy, yesterday, the thing is that, we were questioning whether, the players would know what it was like or what they were in for a Northeast derby. And I think every one of those Newcastle players stood up to the challenge yesterday.
100%. I think they've been kind of taught a few things by the Geordies in the squad. No doubt about that. I think Dan Burn, Longstaff, Paul Dummett, them kind of players have been into the players and kind of telling them what it's about. And I don't think that happened with the Sunderland players, if I'm perfectly honest. They didn't seem to have the intensity, desire, heart, urgency, anything. It was a really strange performance from them.
Well, interesting.
Really
Magpies has come back and said, I'm not disappointed at all. Sometimes you have to realise the massive gulf between Newcastle and Sunderland. We are miles behind, and it just shows how far you've come.
I mean, quality-wise, he's right. But, I mean, at least try and level the playing field with determination and urgency. There's none of that from them.
Yeah, well, I think that's naive. I think because Luton's intensity against us got them the win. Intensity gets you far. Obviously, you need the quality as well, but they didn't show any intensity.
There was a few times during the match where they did, try and get going. The flew. There was, I think, a 5-minute spell in the first half where they started throwing tackles in, but it didn't continue. And I thought that's how Sunderland would start the game. They'd start the game with that kind of physicality and try and get stuck into us, wind our players up a little bit. We know that our players have been temperamental in the past. We may be losing control a little bit, but they didn't do that. Our players were up to the challenge of the atmosphere in the ground, but I think the players themselves would have probably expected a little bit different physicality from Sunderland, but it didn't come, and that's why I'm asking the question, to Sunderland fans, were they disappointed? I mean he makes a good point.
Even the manager didn't change anything. One substitution when you're getting kind of outplayed and outfought, you think you'd kind of try and change things up, but he didn't, did he?
I must say that the sub that did come on for Sunderland, Bar, he looked a player. My goodness me.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that he didn't start the game, looking at how good he was. He caused all sorts of problems first when he came on. But it is player ratings time now, guys. So do take part in this, as usual, in the chat. Well over 1,100 watching. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner, as we now start our journey to 27,000. We're over 27.5 now, so we're not far away, guys. So with your help, we can get there sooner rather than later and keep on building and building. Mackham Cabby says, our squad is too young and inexperienced, and not to mention our coach. I'd rather have Steve Bloody Bruce.
No, you wouldn't.
Really? Really?
You've only just got out of League One. I wouldn't put yourself back in there.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean,
I think a little bit. I don't know.
I must admit, it was a strange appointment for me, bringing Michael Beale in. I have to say, Rangers fans. Well, there's a comment there from where is it? Davey T saying the Rangers fans have said Michael Beale's all talk, and I've heard that from a few Rangers fans as well. So, I mean, look, I'm sure Stevie Bruce is available, but I just can't. I'm still struggling to know why you got rid of Mowbray. To be honest, I think you were in the playoffs when you got rid of Tony Mowbray.
You've got a few a few exciting young players. You play in a decent shape. He might not be the perfect manager, but a young profile of squad with those kinds of players. Steve Bruce is not the right guy at all. No way.
I mean, look, it must be bad. I mean, they must be feeling bad if they want Bruce rather than Ian.
Sunderland are in the position right now where if they have a reasonably good coach, they can slowly bring in a few additions. They should, as the squad ages and gets more experience, there's no reason they can't be getting promoted in the next 2 to 3 years if they do it right.
Yeah,
but that's
absolutely.
if they do it right. And Steve Bruce would not be coming up if you got Steve Bruce back.
No, let's face it. Steve Bruce brought Sunderland to a derby at St James's back in 2010. 5-1.
5-1. I mean,
there was no intensity for them that day either. It was
that may well have been tongue in cheek from Mackham Cabby, just making a point that he was not very happy with Michael Beale, his appointment. So
if he said Ken Bruce, I'd probably understood it more.
Indeed, yes. But there had to be better managers out there that would take the Sunderland job than Michael Beale, to be honest. But anyway, let's move on to the player ratings. So as usual, please take part in the chat, guys. Let us know if you agree with us or not. We will start off with Martin Dubravka. Alex?
he had nothing to do. I'm going to give him
He did. He made a couple of good saves.
He still had pretty much nothing to do. I'll give him a 7. I'm just going to give him a flat 7. However, an extra compliment for that deflected shot that he saved with his legs, because that was, he didn't know where that was going, so he had to be switched on for that. But beyond that, there wasn't really anything else to do. So just gets a flat 7 for me. And
well, I'm going with an 8, and I'll tell you why. Because I think at the time he made those saves, it was quite critical in the game. He brilliantly adjusted himself for that deflected shot to make sure he got a leg on it. And then, that great run from it was Pritchard. Yeah, he came to the edge of the box and tried the outside of his boot, but it was the save he made by pushing it away as well, away from danger. Just so happens that Trippier made a mistake and let Jack Clark have the ball for some unknown strange reason. But it was eventually cleared. But I thought, you know what, he did what he had to do yesterday, Dubravka. And again, we can't keep punishing goalkeepers when they don't have a lot to do. I think what he did have to do, he did very well. So that's why I'm going with an 8.
Well, no, but I normally start ratings at 5-ish and
I know.
add or detract accordingly. And he gets given 2 points for the concentration and the saves.
Yeah. Billy?
Yeah, it didn't hardly had anything to do, but what he did do was perfect. He had 2 fantastic saves. Distribution was excellent. He had lots of ball at his feet. Didn't worry him at all. I'll give him an 8 also.
Okay. Right, we'll move across to Kieran Trippier, Billy.
Yeah, back to his best, wasn't he? Led from the front. Fantastic performance from the captain. Defensively, had Jack Clark in his pocket. He was supposed to be their danger man. Got forward an awful lot as well. Set pieces were a little bit weren't great. But aside from that, he was fantastic. I'll give him an 8.
I'm going with a 7 because of his same reasons, Billy, actually. I thought he was very good yesterday, but he has to be better at those set pieces. I mean, some of the corners he wasn't clearing the first man again, and that is the very frustrating side of Trippier. But he certainly, playing wise, looks very much back to his normal self. And I think the little bit of time off that he's had has probably done him the world of good. Alex?
I'm going to go the opposite way around. I'm going to give him a 9. I think based on his recent troubles with his errors within matches, to then come back into a derby and be the on-field captain for that derby away from home and make sure that you've put all of that behind you and you don't make any mistakes. He was fairly solid. And he was back to his best in terms of, the cheeky little corner where he wasn't taking it within the designated area and that kind of stuff. And I think that really helped. He took his mind off of that and he was thinking about the right things. He looked a lot more like himself. Corners needs to improve those. But generally he was fine.
Well, maybe you shouldn't take every single one of them. That's the thing.
I don't think he would be. Again, if we had Tonali on the pitch, I think Tonali would have been incorporated into set pieces. But
he wasn't at the start of the season, was he?
He wasn't, no.
So
but Tonali was playing with low confidence as well. Yeah. To be fair to him.
Yeah. Right, moving across to Dan Burn at left back. I'm going to give Dan Burn a 7. I thought he was steady away yesterday. Got beat a couple of times for pace, but certainly, not really in any trouble at all. I thought he did the rest of his job very well. What I did like about Dan Burn's game yesterday was he was going forward a lot more and overlapping a lot more, which I think surprised Sunderland as well. So 7 for me. Alex?
I'll give him a 7. I want to give him an 8, but he was done a couple of times. That's going to stop him from getting an 8 in my book. So he'll get a 7. Early doors, it was quite exciting to see him overlap and a right-footed cross attempt as well. He definitely looked up for it, but can't really give him any more than a 7 in my book.
Okay, Billy.
I will give him an 8. I thought his effort was there. It was a derby, and he grew for this in that derby. I thought looked a lot better than what he has lately. Certainly going forward. Much tidier with the ball at his feet. Also, he did give the ball away a few times, but not as much as usual. So I'll give him an 8.
Okay. Right, to the centre backs we go now, and Sven Botman, Billy.
Yeah, had little to do, but what he did do with the ball at his feet was great. Passing wise, no defense, nothing defensive to do at all, really. So it was a cakewalk for him and his partner. So I'll give Sven an 8 as well.
Yeah, I'm going with an 8 for Sven. I thought he was very assured, nothing shaky at all. Just did what he had to do, really. And that's what impressed me the most about him yesterday. Just steady away. Alex?
I'm going to give him a 9.
Okay.
I think he was outrageous. The fact that he was out for, and considering what he was out for as well, with the whole suspected ACL that wasn't ruptured, but all of that. 95% pass accuracy, 63 out of 66 passes, and he completed all of his duels. He won all of them. He just sat there, and when Botman plays, Fabian Schär has a harder time because they just don't go. They're like, nah, we're not going to deal with that. He's too good. We'll just go on Schär or Burn. We don't like Botman. People just don't want to take him on. He's so good. I mean, I wanted to give him a 10, but we'll save a 10 for when people actually do something crazy. But a 9, I think he's just absurd. He's so good.
I mean, the thing that we were surprised about, Billy, and you mentioned this a couple of times, was Sunderland let our centre-backs bring the ball out. And when you do that, you're asking for trouble given the range of passing that they have. And it certainly happened yesterday. Fabian Schär, I'm going to give him a 9. I thought Fabian was outrageously good yesterday. Some of the passes he hit yesterday, crossfield balls right onto the feet of the wingers, I thought were just sensational. So not a lot to do defensively wise. Again, what he had to do defensively, I think he did very well, but looked really, really back to his normal self yesterday. So a 9 for me. Billy?
Very similar to Botman, actually. So I'll give him the same mark, 8. Great passing to the right and left flanks. But again, he wasn't pressured at all. Not a lot of defensive stuff to do. 8 out of 10.
Okay. Alex?
I'm going to go for the 9. I mean, 58 out of 65 passes, which is an 89% passing accuracy. However, he tried 10 long balls and got 7 of them. So if it wasn't for him trying that many long balls, he probably would have had generally the same passing accuracy as Botman, because he was the guy trying the crossfield balls. And to complete 7 out of 10 of them is damn impressive. And then he did nothing wrong defensively. However, I do feel like our centre-halves, their statistics are a bit inflated by how bad Sunderland were. Whether that was instructional or not, they were just letting Schär just walk into midfield. They were giving him 3 seconds to pick someone and just spray a long ball out. Like, you can't do that with Fabian Schär. Some of the outrageous passes he's done over the last couple of years for us, you can't do that. It was so dangerous. Like, they were lucky they didn't get done by that.
Fair enough. Right, we'll move on to Sean Longstaff, Alex.
I am going to give him I'm going to be generous and give him a 7. I did want to give him sort of a 5. However, I'm going to give him a point for the interesting runs he made, getting himself into a good position. And then I liked that he pulled himself up by the scruff of the neck in the last 10 minutes because we were getting overrun in midfield. People were out of position. I liked that he sorted himself out, which is hard to do. He had the self-awareness to do that, and I respect that. I don't think he was very good. I think he was probably a 5 for most of the game, but I'm going to give him extra points for the offensive movement and for sorting his head out in the final 10 minutes because we needed it, because Miley was struggling a little bit. We didn't want to concede a goal, and he did do that. So I'll be kind and give him a 7.
I've gone with a 6. I thought, there was parts of the game that he did very well in, making the runs to get on the end of, the header and the front post, and standing up the last 15 minutes. I thought he was very good. But again, just we've seen him do better, and I think we expect better now. He's made that rod for his own back by playing so well previously, and I think that's the big thing for me. Is that we know how good he can be. We know what I think he frees Bruno up a lot more as well, which he's a very important factor. And I just want to see a little bit more from him. Billy?
Well, it's definitely signs that he's getting back to his best. The amount of games he's had is helping him. And he was better, much better yesterday than what it was in the previous games. He did give the ball away a few times, as well as kind of missing the chances. I mean, the chance inside the box, the header weren't too bad. He got it on target. You can't really fault him for missing that one. The shot he put over the bar from outside the area, he panicked there. He let back. It was awful. But aside from that, I thought he had a really, really good game. I would give him an 8.
Okay, no problem at all. Right, let's move on to Joe Linton now. And I'm giving Joe Linton a 9. I thought he was immense when he was on the pitch yesterday. Just so his importance to us is just quite incredible. And he was absolutely outstanding yesterday. And, so hope that injury isn't going to keep him out for a long time. We saw when he did it, he played a crossfield ball and kind of got his stud stuck and strained the leg a little bit. So hopefully it's just a precautionary measure, but I think he should have been taken off at half time. But a 9 all day for me. Billy?
Yeah, outstanding for the time he was on the pitch. He really was. Just monstered them, didn't he? Totally monstered them. Does he get assist for the own goal? He should do, because it was a fantastic running cross, terrific cross actually. I'll give him a 9 also.
Has anybody got their mobile phone close to the microphone by any chance?
No, not me.
Mine's where it normally is, but I'll move it just in case.
I don't know whether it's, unless we're being listened into by the FBI or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's gone away now. Anyway, Alex?
I'm going to give him a 10.
Okay.
Just outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. A 27-year-old, and we needed somebody to step up in the derby, and we all kind of said, well, this is Joe Linton's chance, really. We expected him to kind of do it, and he did exactly that. The fact that he plays as a destroyer, but then also makes left wing runs and gets sort of, it doesn't count as an assist, but it's as good as. And then some of the data, 29 out of 31 passes. He misplaced 2 passes all game, whilst being the guy who breaks up play with the balls pinging around. He's jumping up in the air. He's doing all of the 2 passes. That is so clean. And that's exactly what we talked about in the preview. We needed to show our quality and retain the ball more. Joe Linton was exceptional at that. He completed all 4 dribbles he tried, which is a lot of dribbles, considering he's a destroyer. The way he profiles, he's very unique in the way he plays. There's very few players in the world that play the way Joe Linton plays, because it's very difficult to be quick and strong, but a midfielder, but you can kind of do bits of a striker, bits of a winger, and you're just enormous. And you've got a little bit of technical ability. It's a very weird combination that he's got. And he showed all of it, and he gets an absolute 10. And there's a reason we fell off a cliff when he went off the pitch, because we were disjointed, because he does the work of 1.5 players. He's I'm just going to give a 10. He's just so good. When he plays like that, he's unplayable.
Yeah. Billy?
I would have given 9.
All right, okay. Right, Bruno, straight 10 for me. I don't think there's any doubt about Bruno being a 10. He was absolutely class. Billy?
Yeah, live in front of the country. He just brought his game to the party, didn't he? He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Dominated the game from start to finish. Everything you want from a midfield player. Easiest 10 I'm ever going to give, I think.
Yep. Alex?
Yeah, super easy 10. Just ridiculous. I mean, I've just read out some of Joe Linton's stats. Bruno does very similar consistently. Andy does more somehow. It's just ridiculous. Just the riding challenges and spraying the ball about and the vision. And I really want to see him as an offensive midfielder, and maybe next season if we recruit differently, because he can do so much more. He's 26. This is peak Bruno. I want him released. He's not just a DM. He's an attacking midfielder. I mean, I think I mentioned this with Billy yesterday. What did I equate him to? That he's got bits of Bruno Fernandes's game and bits of Rodri's game all in one player. You get some teams that have got an offensive midfielder, some that have got a very, very good defensive midfielder. What neutrals don't seem to understand is Bruno can do both of those things. Not to the same level. He's never done sort of 20 goal contributions in a season like Fernandes has, and he's never been an elite sort of big, tall DM like Rodri has. However, he's got most of what they both have. To have both of those packages in one player, nobody seems to be cottoning on how good Bruno is. And long may it continue, and hopefully we can just retain him, because he's a freak. He's so good.
Yep. Before we move on to the front 3, guys, just to let you know, we are on social media sites as well. We have a fantastic Facebook group, over 3,000 members in that Facebook group now. Just search for the Toon Review and just fill in a couple of questions and agree to the terms and conditions. And myself or one of the mods will then accept you into the group. It's a brilliant place to talk about Newcastle without getting worried about trolls. So we're there. We're also on obviously X, or Twitter as you call it, the Toon Review Stato, and at Billy Trey. We're all there if you want to interact with us on there. We're on Instagram at the Toon Review as well, and also on TikTok, the Toon Review, which Susan runs that account, is putting a lot more stuff on there now. She actually put a little bit of a montage of the goals yesterday from the Matchday live show, so that's over on TikTok as well.
Right, Pinska's eyes. Bruno isn't for sale, but he has €115 release clause, €1 million release clause. So if someone offers that, he has to be able to talk to the club that offers it.
The Magpies just subbed to our channel as well. Thank you very much, mate. I believe you do have a YouTube channel as well. Some people in the chat have said that you've got a YouTube channel, and it's you're a good guy. So I will have a look to your channel after this show, my man. So thank you very much. Len Simmons, thank you for your super chat. He says, I think they were sitting back and hoping for a draw or hitting us with a counter attack. Still feel worried about Manchester City. Well, look, we're always going to be worried about Manchester City because they are an elite side. Right, let's move on to the front three. We'll start off with Anthony Gordon, Billy.
Yeah, much better again. It just looked like he's free of a little bit of injury that he had. He was a constant threat down that left-hand side. Got off the penalty. I'll give him a 9.
Okay. Alex?
I don't want to give him a 9. Why do I not want to give him a 9?
I've no idea.
I just want to give him a 10.
I mean, my instinct was 8, but then obviously you've said 9. So why am I not giving him a 9? I mean, yeah, he was, I would say, at least 20% sharper, faster. He got the penalty, link-up play. I mean, early doors, him moving inside allowed Joe Linton to do what he did. I don't know why I don't want to give him a 9. I'll give him a 9 as well. I'll give him a 9. I don't know why I feel like that's excessive, though. He was fouled for. To be fair, they did foul him a bunch. He probably could have done a bit more if they didn't do that. Yeah, I'll give him a 9.
Yeah, I'm going for a 9 as well. I thought he was back to his shithousery best as well. He was in the faces, getting stuck in, and it was great to see. Absolutely great to see. Right, across the other side now, Miggy Almiron. Alex.
I mean, I'm going to give him a 10. I've got to give him a 10 for the defensive work rate. I mean, he got an assist. He damn near got on the score sheet. He was unlucky not to. And then the amount of the ball we had, I felt like was a large percentage of that was down to what Miggy did ball recovery wise. It was outrageous. Yeah, when he's like that, we're great because we do, we just have a lot more of the ball and it's useful. Sometimes we need a lot of chances to score. We can be a bit wasteful. So having more of the ball helps, and Miggy definitely facilitated that yesterday. So I'll give him a 10. I think he deserved it.
Yeah. Cynical Jim says, is Alex doing dry January? He'll be shaking like a shitting whippet by Tuesday.
I haven't had a drink for ages. I don't actually. It's mainly because I'll pop like a beverage when we're on camera. Like about 5 weeks before my wedding, I didn't drink for about a 5-week period then as well. So in the last 3 months, I've only really been drinking for like a 4-week period.
Davey says, I've got to say, I think TTR is not totally biased, resulting in other fans also liking the channel. Thank you. Well, we do welcome other fans on. We got plenty from other team, not a lot from Sunderland, obviously, but I don't subscribe to this hatred. I don't care what anybody says. I don't hate people who support Sunderland. It's rivalry. It's that's what it is. But I don't hate them for supporting Sunderland. I don't get all that hatred and wanting to punch them and kick them and do all that kind of stuff. It's just mental for me. You can have your banter and talk about football, but each to their own who they want to support. But I don't want to ever lose to them. I said to Susan yesterday, stay away from me if the result goes against us, because I'll be throwing things around. I'll be grabbing the fish out the fish tank and chewing them up in my mouth. And no, I didn't. I'll get animal services on. I would never do that. I love them too much. God, I bet I've spent too much time.
I think they'd eat you before you ate them.
You know what I mean?
Judging by them.
Well, no, I sold those too, Alex.
No.
Yeah, the
sharks.
ones. Yeah, I've got a lovely big tank in there now with some lovely fish in there. He was still aggressive, but Anyway, Billy Almiron.
Yeah, much better. Assist, energy, fantastic. Yeah, you can't not give him a 10.
Oh, really? You can't not give him a 10.
You're not going to give him a 10, are you? I'm giving it a 10 anyway. I thought he was outstanding.
Oh, God, I can just see the Miggy fan club out with their guns right now, shooting pellets at the
9
street.
ball recoveries. It was outrageous. And an assist.
And 2 good chances. One that virtually knocked out the Sunderland captain.
And a couple of right-footed crosses that it wasn't his fault. Nobody was there.
course he gets a 10. Well done, Miggy, for shoving it in my face. But Miggy Almiron, you need to do it consistently, matey. You need to show what you can do in the Premier League now. Go out there against Manchester City and terrorise them like you terrorised the Magpies yesterday. That's what you need to do. So keep going. But I'm watching you. Right, Alexander Isak. Alex.
This is a really tricky one because I want to give him a 10 because he scored twice, could have scored 3 and get a hat-trick in the derby. However, I feel really conflicted giving him a 10 because there's so much more this boy can do. So we've kind of backed ourselves into a corner here by giving too many 10s out, which is precisely why I don't give 10s out very often. I shouldn't have listened to you two.
You started it with Billy Botman.
I know, I know.
Excuse me.
All right, I'll give him a 10. However,
look at us, sunshine.
I'm going to give him a 10. However, there wasn't. He needed to get himself into the game. It was a combination of he needed to get himself into the game a bit more, and we needed people to maybe give him a bit more service. You know, he's got a lot in his locker in terms of ball progression. He's an elite dribbler. He's so good, and we just don't see that sometimes, and we didn't really see it yesterday. However, he nearly got himself a hat trick, so he gets a 10. But I want to see more from him in terms of build up because he's just outrageously good at it. So,
well, I'm going with an 8. He got 2 goals, yes, but I didn't think his performance was anything to shout about. I think he was very quiet up front. Now, that could be down to service or whatever it takes. But he did get the ball a few times, and he lost it a few times trying to dribble. Katie, I've got no idea what you're going on about. Please explain that comment. Stop, Billy, pack it in. You're throwing me off my track here.
I'm not saying anything.
You don't have to. Look, what was I saying? Yeah, he lost the ball a few times. And it's like,
well, you know,
I want to see a bit more from him.
I agree.
I
don't know whether to give him anything. He could have gone from a 7 to a 10 yesterday.
Look, he took his goals.
It's really difficult.
The penalty was a good penalty, and he took his goal very well. But I just don't know, man. There's something still missing, I think. But that may well happen in the next few games.
System change. We need a 4-2-3-1 or what he played at Sociedad. We need him on the ball more. And he's just outrageous. We could do with him having a partner or something. Samsonite Dove says, 2 goals against the Magpies, he should get a 10. That's why I gave him a 10.
Well, yeah, but listen, if he'd missed that goal that Miggy set him up, then I would have asked serious questions. He took it well, yes, and took the penalty well, yes, but it's all about the game as well. Doug, thank you for your super chat. He says we are both in the hat for tomorrow's draw. What did you guys make of the supposed kit clash? I didn't see it personally. Good luck versus City next week. There wasn't a kit clash. We've played against we've played very well against Sunderland in black and white before, and I don't see
the shorts definitely help because we had white shorts, they had black shorts. So if you just kind of only look at the shirts, yeah, it's from side on, it's difficult, but I think there was enough for the players, and that's what counts.
I didn't find it difficult at all commentating, to be honest. I thought. By the way, guys, I'm not losing composure live on air. There's a thing with the three of us, we're taking the mickey out of a certain presenter on here, which will remain nameless. But anyway, Billy, Isak.
Yeah, take the goals away, and it's pretty poor performance, I think. But he scored 2 fantastic finishes. The penalty was a penalty, but a great penalty. A fantastic finish, even though it was inside the 18-yard box. Great finish. Aside from that, didn't do an awful lot. However, he did push Spallard over when he was trying to get involved with Gordon, trying to bully Gordon with 3 others. Came storming across and took control of the situation. So I'll give him a 9.
Okay. Right, substitute-wise, Miley, of course, came on very early for Joe Linton. I'm going to give Miley a 5. I thought he was bang average yesterday, but he couldn't get into the game. Lost the ball a few times, etc. Billy?
Yeah, I thought he was very poor. He just doesn't seem to play very well on that left-hand side yesterday. He just looked like a fish out of water, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll give him a 5 as well.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, I think 5's fair. If I start them on a 5, I don't think he did anything to warrant any more than that. But I don't think he did. I mean, there's a case to be made to drop him a point for those passes. There was 2 or 3 where he just softly passed it. Sunderland got possession back and started to try and counter. I'm going to go with a 4 because I'm going to start him at a 5 and deduct him a point for those sloppy passes. But he's 17. He's put in a lot of good performances. It's out of character. I'm sure he'll be fine. It's no issue.
Len, thanks for another super chat. This is just like to say nobody could have saved that penalty. It was a brilliant penalty. Under pressure, I know we 2-0 up. But, there you go. Right, who else came on yesterday?
They were all in the 90th minute. So it was Richie, Lascelles, Dummett, and Livramento all right at the end.
Changes. Right, then we'll move on to the manager, Eddie Howe. Billy.
Yeah, got his team selection right.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was... he got too much respect from the Sunderland manager and their team. So he had an easy day yesterday. His usual tactics worked to a treat. So he can't give him any less than 10. He's gone to Sunderland, got a 3-0 victory. I'll give him a 10.
Alex?
Yeah, it's got to be a 10 as well because he's won the derby. Considering, you've got to take... We're rating just this performance in the context of this, and it's got to be a 10.
Yeah.
I still stand by what I said. I don't think the Geordies was necessarily needed in the starting lineup. I think there's a case to be made that Livramento on that pitch helps us a bit more. I don't think him picking them is the reason why we won the game, specifically Byrne and Longstaff. But it doesn't matter. So he got the selection right. The players looked happier, a little bit more confident, well rested, sharper. And part of that's got to go down to the manager and the coaching staff for sorting that out this week. Last week even.
Well, I'm going to go with a 10 as well. Although, his decisions were right yesterday. Maybe you could argue about bringing Joe Linton off at half-time. But that might have been advice from his medical staff, so we don't know. Eddie will have said to them, is he good to go? And they turned around and said yes, when really he wasn't. And that has to be aimed again at the medical team. But I'm sure that will come out.
All they need to do is get him out at half-time and just have a jog, see if he can run. That's what anyone else will do. But...
And I'm also giving Mad Dog a 10 for his decision to do the team photograph on the pitch. Again, monumental shithousery that you just have to love. That would have got right under the skin of Sunderland. But I love when we do that. And it's not just Sunderland. I mean, a lot of other teams, take the team photo again. Well, I'm sorry, but they do it after every win. So why not? Why not do it in front of the travelling fans? It's very special. Right. So who was your man of the match yesterday, Billy?
Bruno by country mile.
Alex?
It's got to be Bruno. I mean, I think a few players did well, but Bruno just ran everything.
I've gone for Bruno as well. So let's get the result of the poll. And the viewers' man of the match, and we've had nearly 800 votes on this, guys. Bruno with 58%. Oh, sorry, 57. It keeps going down and up. 57%. Miggy finished on 20. Isak on 15 and Gordon on 8.
It's crazy that Isak scored 2 of the 3 goals and is third on that list. I think if he finishes off that own goal instead of it being an own goal, it's got to be Isak. But yeah, it's got to be Bruno.
Brilliant votes for that. But there you go, guys. That is it for the match review. It has been a good match review as we hoped for, because obviously, we were. Some people were nervous going into the game. Some people weren't. Some people were very comfortable knowing that we were going to win. Big shout out to Derek, who came on the fan forum on Friday night and just said, I'm not worried at all. And he was proved right. It's not very often that Derek is right. Only joking, mucker. But there you go. We are back tomorrow. I'm back at 11 o'clock with the latest news. And the 3 of us are back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with a transfer show.
And the cup draw in the middle of it.
Well, I know, but is that not at the end of the Man United game?
No, it's at the beginning.
Is it at the beginning? All right. Well, we'll be on air for the FA Cup draw as well. And so there you go. I'll have it live on my right in front of us. So as it happens, we will bring you the draw. So a lot to look forward to on tomorrow night's show. Thank you very much for your new memberships and super chats. Mods, thank you. Billy and Alex, thank you. And thank you to you guys out there. It's been an absolute blast of a weekend. We've destroyed Sunderland. We're through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. And now hopefully we will take that on to the Premier League form. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check on some green.